Hello and welcome to the fourth lesson of this Excel course. I'm Sumit Bansal, and in this video we will learn how we can work with cells and ranges in Excel. Let's get started by first understanding the cell address nomenclature. In Excel, every cell has an address. So for example, if I select this cell, then this would be in column B and in row number 17. So this cell would have the address B17. Similarly, if I go to some other cell, say this cell, then this would be K14 because this is in column K and row number 14. A very quick way to identify the address of a cell is to go and see in the name box, and the name box would always show you the address of this cell. If you select a range of cells, then this would only show the address of the active cell, which would be I4. So as I mentioned, active cell is a place where you can start entering the data and it would go here, but there could only be one active cell at a point of time. But in case you need to use this range of cells in a formula, then you would use the first cell at the top left and the last cell at the bottom right, and they are separated by a colon. So for example, in this case, let me just highlight it. In this case, the address would be the top left cell, which is I4. So it would be I4 colon and the bottom right, which is this cell, which is K9. So this would be K9. Now this is how you can select this entire range of cells. So for example, if you are using this set of cells in a formula, say for example, you have some value here. I would have this value here and I need to add all these. So now if I use this formula sum and I have to insert this entire range of cells, you can see that Excel automatically inserts I4 colon K9 in this because this is the address of these cells. I would talk more about these formulas later in this video course. Now let me clear all this. You can also select these range of cells by directly typing this address in the name box. So for example, if I have to go to I4 to K9 and I have to select all these cells, I would go to name box, copy this, I would go to name box and I would paste this. And now when I hit enter, you can see that it automatically selects this entire range of cells for me. This is not a very efficient way because you would not want to just type this address in name box again and again. The easier way is to use your mouse key and just select this data, but in case your data is far off, then you can also type the address in name box and select it automatically. You can also select this entire column or an entire row. So in this case, I've selected this column I. The convention to select this in formulas or anywhere is I colon I, and if you use this, then it would select this entire column. So let me show you by typing this in name box. If I type I colon I and I hit enter, you can see that it would select this entire column for me. So in case you're using a formula where you are not very sure that if there are values that would be added below a value in column I, then you can use this. So for example, you can use something like this, sum I colon I. If you do not type it manually and you go and select this, Excel automatically inserts this nomenclature, this cell address for you. Similarly, in case of a row, for example, if I want to select this entire row, row 6, I can simply type 6 is to 6. And as soon as I type this, you can see that Excel has selected this entire row for me. You can select a cell or a range of cells by simply clicking the left mouse button and then dragging this and leaving the mouse button, so that this selects this entire range of cells. If you want to select non-contiguous range of cells, then press Control key on your keyboard and select this range of cells. So this would select another set of cells which are not adjacent to your current selection. So in this case, if you press Control key, you can select non-contiguous cells in the entire worksheet. And now if you want to make any changes, for example, you want to change the background color, then you can do this and it would be done for all the selections. You can also select an entire row or a column. So in this case, I go to this alphabet G, which is at the top of the column, and I click on it. And as soon as I do this, it selects this entire column for me. If I want to extend this selection, then I can keep the left mouse button pressed and drag the selection to select other columns as well. I can also use the keyboard shortcut shift right arrow or left arrow pointers to extend this selection. The same thing can be done for rows. You go and click on this header which says say 17, and this entire row gets selected, and now you can extend the selection by hitting the shift key on your keyboard and moving the arrow keys. You can also use a keyboard shortcut to select a column. So the keyboard shortcut would be Control Spacebar, and as soon as you hit that, it selects this entire column, and again you can extend this selection by using the arrow keys. Similarly, in case of a row, you can select an entire row by using the keyboard shortcut Shift Spacebar, and as soon as you use it, it selects this entire row. Now, for example, you have a data set like this. You can select this entire data set by using the keyboard shortcut Control A, and you can see that it has selected this entire data. This is called the current region in Excel, and when you press Control A, it selects the current region. The idea of current region is that none of the row or column which is empty should be there in the current region, and it would be surrounded by blank rows and columns which are adjacent to it. So for example, in this case, I can see that this row is blank, row 16 is blank, and column F is blank adjacent to this data set. Now for example, if I delete this data, I go to this cell and hit Control A, it only selects this region because this column is empty. So you can use Control A keyboard shortcut to select this current region, and if you press it twice, then it would select the entire worksheet. If you want to select this entire worksheet through mouse, then you can go and click on this right angle triangle, and when you do that, it would again select this entire worksheet. Now let me hit Control Z to get back the data. Another cool feature in Excel is that you can make changes here, and that could be replicated in other sheets. So which means that you can select these cells in multiple sheets. Let me show you how it works. I have sheet 1 as of now selected, and say I want to change the header color from blue to orange. Now I would press Control key on my keyboard and I would select these sheets, and as soon as I make this selection, I select sheet 2. You can see that I have a group written at the title bar, which means that these two sheets are now grouped, and any change that I make in sheet 1 would be replicated in sheet 2. Similarly, if I select these two sheets as well, you can see that all these sheets are grouped. Now if I've this cell selected, this range of cells selected, and I make the color from blue to orange, you would see that the change has been done in all these sheets. So this is a good feature if you have a similar table in the same format in all these sheets and you want to make one change, then that would be replicated in all the sheets. But just be aware that if you do this, you may unintentionally make some changes in other sheets that you do not want. So just be very sure that your sheets are grouped and you do want to make those changes. Now we'll see how you can insert cells or columns or rows. So a very easy way to insert a column is just select this entire column, right click and select insert, and when you select insert, a new column is inserted. So for example, since this was empty, you might not have been able to see it. If I've given a color to it, I go at the top, I right click and I select insert. You can see that a new column has been inserted and this column gets shifted to the right. You can also insert a column by going to the home tab, and here you have this insert option within cells group. Select this and it would say insert cells. And when you click insert cells, when you have selected this entire column, it would insert another column. But for example, if you selected only a range of cells and you go and you say insert cells, then this would give you this option, and it has 4 parts to it. First is shift cells to the right. So when you insert cells, these set of cells would be shifted to the right. Shift cells down. So if you insert cells, cells would be inserted here and this set of cells would get pushed down. You can insert entire row. So these many rows would be inserted, or you can insert an entire column and again a column would be inserted here. So just to show you how this works, let me type something here. Let me clear the formatting. Now if I go to insert and I say insert cells, there are 4 options. Shift cells to the right. If I click OK, you can see that the cells have been inserted here and the remaining cells have been shifted to the right. So you can see the numbers which were here earlier get shifted to the right, and this part gets shifted again to the right. Let me Control Z and go back. Now again I'll go to insert cells, and here I would say shift cells down, and when I click OK, these cells are shifted down and new set of cells are inserted here. Please note that none other data set is affected. Anything at the left of it is not affected, but anything to the right of it is affected, because when you say shift cells to the right, then all the cells to the right would be affected here. Let me control Z and go back, and I say insert row. When I click OK, it inserts a new set of rows and these rows get pushed down. I would hit Control Z to go back, and the fourth option is entire column, and if I hit entire column, an entire new column is inserted, and the existing column gets shifted to the right. You can also access this insert options by right clicking and going to the insert option, and it would again open the same dialog box. Now, similar to the insert option, you also have the delete option. If you select the range of cells and right click, you would have this option delete, and when you click delete, again you have a similar dialog box where it says shift cells to the left. If these cells are deleted, then these cells would get shifted to the left. So for example, if I click OK, you can see that it has deleted these set of cells and these cells get shifted to the left. Again, let me open the dialog box. It says shift cells up. If I delete this, these set of cells would shift up. It would delete this entire row. If I click this option, you can see all those cells have been deleted, all those rows have been deleted. I do not want that, so I hit Control Z, and the last option is entire column, so this entire column would be deleted. You can also access this delete options by going to the home tab, and in cells group you have this option where it says delete cells. If you click on it, it again opens the same dialog box, and you can see delete sheet rows, and it will automatically do it. It will not open any dialog box. Delete sheet columns, delete the entire sheet. You can also change the column width and row height. Let me clear this formatting first. So I would go to clear formats, actually clear all. Now you can also change the column width by just going to the top at this header, and when you go to the end of this header, you would see this double pointed arrow. Just left click on your mouse, it would show you the width, the current width, and you can drag this, and when you drag this, you can see that the width is changing. So this is a manual way to doing it, but there are a couple of automatic ways to do this as well. So for example, I have some text here. Excel is awesome. Now if I just want to auto fit the column widths in such a way that my text is completely within a cell but there is no extra spaces, I would just go and double click on this, and as soon as I double click, when I have this double pointed arrow visible, when I double click, you can see that Excel automatically fits the column width for me. Similar is the case with row. So for example, if I here hit Excel is awesome, and I would wrap this text. Now when I wrap this text, it automatically fits the row height. But if I want to manually do it, I can just go here and drag these columns and it would fit this for me. Hit Control Z, and I would delete this. You can also manually specify what width you want for a column, and to do that you would have to go to format option in cells group and select column width. And when you select column width, it would give you a dialog box like this where you can specify the width. As of now, the current width is 16.14. I can make it 20, and when I now hit OK, it changes the column width. So you can manually specify the column width as well as row height. You can change the column width for a range of these columns at the same time by just selecting all these columns. Go to the end one or any of these columns. When you have this double pointed arrow, just drag it, and when you change it for one column, and if all the columns are selected, this change is done for all these columns. Similar is the case with row. Just select these rows, go to the end or anywhere at the end of the row header, and when you have this double pointed arrow, just change the height, and it would change the height for all these rows. Let me Control Z and go back. The simplest way to copy data in Excel and pasting it somewhere else is the universal shortcut Control C and Control V. So you select a range of cells, you hit Control C on your keyboard, go to the destination cell and press Control V, and you can see that the data has been pasted here. A basic difference between copying and moving your data is that when you copy the data, it still remains in the destination, in the source cells. But if you are moving this data set, then it would be removed from here. And to move the data, I would use keyboard shortcut Control X. And now when I go and paste this by using Control V, you can see that these cells are now empty because the data has been moved to a new location. I would Control Z to undo this change. So this is the best way to copy or move data by using this shortcut, but there are a couple of more ways you can do this. One of the ways is right clicking and choosing these options, copy and cut, and then again when you go to the destination, if you have copied or cut the data, then you would have the option to paste, and then you can paste the data here. Another shortcut way to move data around or copy data is just selecting this data and press Control key from your keyboard, and now when you hover your mouse at the border of this selection, you would see that my mouse icon has a plus icon to it. Now you can just simply drag this and take this to the destination cell and leave it, and now you can see that it has been copied. Let me Control Z. In case you want to move this, so this was copying data, which is done by Control C, Control V. If you want to move this data so that it does not remain here in the source, just do not press anything on your keyboard, just come to the border, click here and drag this, and as you drag and drop, this data is copied from here, is actually cut and copied here to the destination cell. If you want to copy data below the cell, so for example here I want to copy the same content which is above this cell with the same formatting and everything, I would just press Control D, which is the keyboard shortcut, and this gets filled. For example, again, if I want to copy this data to the right, then I would just press Control R. So these are two keyboard shortcuts that are sometimes useful when you're copying this data. Excel also gives you a lot of flexibility in pasting the data. So for example, if here I copy this data and I go and paste this here, everything has been pasted, including the content, including the formatting. If there had been formulas, that would also have been pasted here with their references getting adjusted. So you may want more control over the way you want to paste. Maybe you only want to paste the content. You already have some existing formatting here. So let me give you an example. Maybe you have this range of cells where you have this color with a thick border, and you want to paste this data here in this. But when you come here and paste this data, you can see that the earlier formatting goes away and your new formatting is applied, and maybe you do not need that. Maybe you only want to paste the content. Then you would need some flexibility in terms of pasting the data. When you copy and you paste, you would see that there is this icon at the bottom right of your data which says paste options. When you click on it, you would see you have a host of options available. You can only paste formulas, you can only paste formula and number formatting, you can paste everything, you can only paste values, so you would have to paste only values, you can paste values in number formatting, and you can also paste as a picture. So these are a lot of options available here that you can use. This same menu is also available here in the clipboard group in home tab. If you click on paste, you would see that this entire thing is available. So let me show you a couple of options here. Let me go and clear everything. Now I would select this entire data set. Notice that as of now this paste option is not available because you have not copied the data, but when you copy the data, you can see that this is now available. I go to the destination cell and I click this, and this gives me a lot of options. And say for example I only want to paste values, then only values are pasted. Maybe I want to paste everything except the borders, so borders are not pasted but everything else is pasted. Maybe I want to adjust the column width, and you can see that the column width has been adjusted. Column H has become a bit wider now. Maybe I want to transpose it, and you can see that this has been transposed. And then maybe I want to only paste this as a picture, so a picture is pasted. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in the way you can access these paste special commands. You can also open the paste special dialog box by using this option at the bottom. You can see that it also gives you a keyboard shortcut which is Control Alt V. So if you press Control Alt V, then you would have this dialog box. And when I click on this paste special option, it opens the paste special dialog box. This dialog box gives you a lot of flexibility, and I would say that instead of using these options here in the paste button, I would always prefer using the paste special dialog box, because there, if you get used to the keyboard shortcuts, then this could be really fast, and I'll show you how I do it. And you can see that there are a lot of options. You can paste everything, only formulas, only values, only formats, and this is a good option. Let me show you how it works. I copy this data, I go to the destination cell, and I open the paste special dialog box, and I only say paste formats. And when I do this, only the formatting is pasted and not the content. Let me go back again to this dialog box. You can only copy comments and validation. Now I would show you in this video how comments are inserted and how it can be copied, and validation is something we will cover later in this video course. But validation is something like a drop down list. So for example, you have a drop down list which says A, B, C and D, and you can copy that drop down list using this option. You can perform operations on this. I would show you how to do this. You can skip blanks and you can transpose the data. There are also a lot of options here available that you can use. Now let me come to the operation part of paste special. For example, say I have, let me clear this data first, and I would use this data set. For example, let's say I have these numbers here, but your boss says that I understand this is 246 million, but I want this entire number. So I would want everything here starting from all the zeros. So to do that, you would use, so this is 1000, 10,000, 100,000, million. You would have to multiply these numbers, and you want to multiply these numbers with all these cells. A quick way to do this is just write that number here, copy it, select this entire range of cells, go to paste special dialog box and say within operations, say I want to multiply this number. And as soon as you hit OK, you can see that all these numbers have been multiplied. Since these are huge numbers which are not getting fit into this column width, you see these numbers here. But if I change the column width, and you can see that it has multiplied all these numbers with this number. Similarly, let me control Z and go back to the original. Maybe your boss says that I know these numbers, but maybe you need to give me the value in percentages. So maybe these are in millions, but give me the numbers in billions. In that case, you would have to divide these numbers by 1000. And to do that, just copy this, go to this data set, go to paste special, or let me show you how to do this using the keyboard shortcut. I would press Ctrl Alt V and it opens the paste special dialog box. Another keyboard shortcut is Alt ES. This is a 2003 shortcut and I use this shortcut all the time, Alt ES. And here you choose divide, and when you choose divide and you click OK, you can see that all these numbers have been divided and now these values are in billions. So this is a very good way to multiply or divide a number, and this does not use any formula, anything. It is a simple paste special trick, but this is mighty useful. Let me delete everything. Numbers so that maybe you can change the formatting for those. So to do that, you can select only numbers by using a feature called go to special dialog box. So to do that, I first select this entire data set and I go to find and select, which is in the home tab and here in editing group. I select find and select, and here I go to this option which says go to special, and when I click on it, it opens the go to special dialog box. In this go to special dialog box, I have different options where I can select an option and it would select all those cells of that kind. So for example, if I say I want to select all the comments, and if I click OK, it would select all those cells which have a comment in it. Similarly, if I say I want to select all constants and I click on it, I have these options. If I say I want to select constants that are numbers, that are text, then I can make these selections and it would select that for me. Similarly, I have formulas. Again, with these options, I can select blank cells, I can select the current region, I can select current array, which are array formulas. I can select objects, so in case I insert a chart or a picture, then I can select all these objects. I can select row differences, column differences. I can select precedence and dependence. So for example, if I have a formula that is dependent on 2 or 3 cells, then those cells can be selected by choosing the dependence option. I can select the last cell of this current region. I can select visible cells only, conditional format, and data validation. Now let me show you, if I only want to select the numbers, how can I do this? So I've selected constants and I uncheck all these options. I only have numbers option available. Please note that constants and formula, for both these are the 4 sub options. Now when I click OK, it has already selected all the numbers. Similarly, if I again press Ctrl A to select this entire region and I go to special and I say I only want to select text and I click OK, this only select the text for me. So that entire text is selected. Now you may want to delete it or format it. Let me show you a couple of more examples. So for example, say I have an error here. So I would create an error first. I would say divide the cell by 0. If I divide anything by 0, it gives me division error, and I've extended this. So now I have error in these 4 cells. Now when I go to paste special dialog box, so you can go to special dialog box by using this option, or you can use the keyboard shortcut F5. When you press F5, it opens the go to dialog box, and here you have the button special button, so you can click on it. Now in this case, if I only want to select errors, I would go to formulas and I would uncheck all these options except errors. And now when I click OK, this select all these errors. Now it's easy for you. You can maybe want to highlight it, or you can simply delete it. Similarly, let me show you something. I'm creating a formula where I say add this value plus this value. So now I have this formula here. I would select this entire region. Again, I would press F5, click on special, and here I would say select precedence. And as soon as I click OK, you can see that these 2 cells have been selected because these 2 cells make up this formula. Similarly, if I go back again, press F5, go to special, I can select dependents only. And now when I click OK, this cell is selected because this is the only formula in this entire work area, in this entire current region, and this is dependent on these 2 cells. So this is a dependent cell. Similarly, you have other options as well, and you can select from this. I will show you how to insert comments and then select you can select comments through it. I have not yet covered data validation, so I would not show you here, but you can also select all those cells which have data validation, all kind of data validation, or only similar kind of data validation. And you can also select all those cells which have conditional formatting applied to it. We would cover conditional formatting later in this video course. Apart from using go to special dialog box, there is another feature with which you can select very specific cells. So for example, if I want to select cells that contain Joe only, or that contain the name Tina, then I can use the find and replace dialog box. To access find and replace, go to home tab. Within home tab you have editing group, within it select find and replace, and here you have this option of find. Click on it and it opens the find and replace dialog box. Within find and replace dialog box you have 2 tabs, find and replace. So in this case I would only showcase you how to find data, and find what? Suppose I type Joe and I click find all, and you can see that it would find this cell for me, which is A4. A4 is the cell where I have the data point Joe. In case I select some other name, say I say need to find the name Tina, and I say find all, it would select A12 because that is where the name Tina has. You can also use other options. So in this case, for example, if you do not want to find it by a particular name or the content of the cell, and you want to find it by formatting, then you can use this option of format. Click on it and it gives you 2 options. Either you specify a format or you choose a format from a cell. Let me show you how to choose a format from a cell. Click on it and it gives you this icon. Select a cell which has the desired format. So for example, let me select this cell, and now I would say find all. And as soon as I click on find all, you can see that it has given me the cell address of all these cells which have the similar kind of formatting. You have other options within this as well. For example, if you want to find within sheet or within workbook, if you want to search by row or by column, or if you want to look in formulas, only values, or comments. There is a lot more that can be done using find and replace dialog box. I have a detailed video later in this video course. Here I just wanted to display to you how you can select a specific cell which has some content in it using the find and replace dialog box. You can insert comments for each and every cell in Excel. Comment is a good way because it will not be visible in the cell, but it is in the backend. If a user hover its mouse over that cell, then that comment gets visible. So you may want to type a comment for some data point, maybe something happened and you want to insert a comment, you can use this functionality. To insert a comment, click on any of the cells where you want to insert that comment and right click. And here you have this option to insert comment. Click on it and it automatically insert a comment for you. Now the first 2 words here are my name. This would be your username for your system, and then you can type any of the comments. For example, I type Excel is awesome. This is my comment. Now if I go and click anywhere else, that comment is permanent in that cell. So if I go and hover my mouse over the cell, it would be visible. I can also edit a comment by clicking on that, and now I can change this comment. If you want to delete a comment, you can right click and choose this option, delete comment. Now let me talk more about editing and formatting this comment. If you go to the border of this comment and you see you have this 4 arrow icon, right click and select format comment, and as soon as you select it, it opens the format comment dialog box. Here you have a lot of options, but I would also only talk about some relevant ones. The first one is font. So as of now there is an inbuilt font that is being used, which is by default, and you can change the font style, font size, and you can also access all these options. You can also specify the color and line. So for example, as of now this is the color that is being used. I can change this to green, and when I click OK, the background color of a format changes. Similarly, you can change the line color and other things as well. You can change the transparency level as well for this, and as soon as I do this, you can see that the comment is now a bit more transparent. You can also insert a picture. So for example, if you want to insert a picture in the comment, go to fill effects, and here you have this fill effects dialog box. Within this you can choose gradient, texture, pattern, or picture, and here in picture go and select picture. In this case, select work offline, because I do not want an internet image. I want an image which is in my system, and it opens my system, my desktop, and I click Excel 2013 image and I press insert. OK, and now you can see there is an image behind it. So for example, if you have a list of countries and you want to display their flags, or you have a list of products and you want to display the product picture in the comment, then you can use it, use the insert picture in the background for a comment option. You can also insert a comment by using a keyboard shortcut Shift F2, and as soon as you press Shift F2, it automatically insert a comment for you. Now let me show you something. I would insert a couple of comments in this data set. So I have these 3-4 data sets. Now if I want to delete all these comments, or if I want to select all these cells which have comments, I would simply select this data set, go to home, within editing I would go to comments, and this would select all these cells that have comments. And now if I want to delete all these comments, I would simply right click on any of these cells and say delete comment, and you can see all these comments are gone. Let me Control Z and go back. Another way to select comments is using the go to special dialog box. So I hit F5, I go to the special button, and here I select comments, and when I click OK, all these comments are selected. So these comments are really good way of inserting any extra thing, any extra information that you want to put in a cell, but it will not be visible until unless a user hover its mouse over that comment. The last thing that I want to cover in this video is the quick analysis tool. This is an add-on feature that was introduced in 2013. So if you're using 2010 or 2007, then you may not find it relevant and you may want to skip this. This is a very small add-on that has been done. Let me show you how it works. I select this entire data set, and as soon as I select it, I would see this icon here, which is the quick analysis icon. If I click on it, I get access to a lot of inbuilt options. So I have access to formatting. These are all conditional formatting things. So I have these colors, icon sets, greater than, less than options, which I would talk about in conditional formatting. You also get access to a couple of charts. So as soon as you click on it, you can create these charts. It also shows you a preview. If you see, if I put it on scatter, you can see a preview, and of course you can change these charts when you actually work on it. You can show total here, so you can show the sum, average, count, percent total, running total, and sum, and other options as well. You can convert this into a table, and as soon as you convert it into a table, this is how it would look. And there are sparklines as well. Nothing of these options is a new feature. Everything is available through this inbuilt option and the other ways that I would talk about later in this video course, but this is just an add-on to make it really easy to access these options. You may find this useful, but a couple of people find it annoying. So this is nothing but an additional feature that has nothing new except the fact that it makes accessing these options quite easy. That is it in this video. I hope you found this useful. Thank you and have a nice day.